All this sounds great. One last question. What research, if any, is there that proves that your program works? Is there any data available for this?
Yes. First of all, it is rare in the field of education research to have as overwhelming and as consistent a consensus that inquiry-based science not only causes children to want to learn, to be inspired, to become lifelong learners, but also to acquire the knowledge and skills necessary to be successful in the discipline. Study after study after study shows that an inquiry-based investigation-centered science program works. Indeed, this is one example where for years and years and years, countries, school districts marched in lockstep in exactly the opposite direction that the research was pointed them towards. Happily, that is changing as inquiry-based science is now becoming more and more central to science instruction. But above and beyond that important general research-based point, the Sangari Active Science program is not new. It is currently in use for almost 600,000 children and growing rapidly, almost by the day. It is an effective program. There is quantitative data to support the efficacy of the program, although I have to tell you that that data is only a couple of years old. That which exists is very, very powerful, and we're more than happy to share that with you. In addition, there's a substantial body of qualitative data that confirms what I think instinct might also suggest. Teachers love this program. Students love this program. Parents report that students come back and talk about this program as the centerpiece of their day. Over and over and over again, formal qualitative studies have showed that this is a program that works, that students use, that teachers enjoy, and really is making a difference. I'd also want to turn the question around on you a little bit. I suspect you have invested hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, no doubt, in textbooks. Ask yourself, where is the rigorous quantitative data to support the efficacy of those programs? And I would suggest that if you read the fine print pretty closely, there really isn't much, if any, for most programs. And I'd go one step further. If you read closely the background material about FOSS science, you'll see that they talk about the prospect of doing quantitative studies, but in fact there is none to support that particular program as against others.
I might mention that with respect to evaluating and researching, doing the data work with respect to active science, there's probably more research done in the field of active science than there has been in just about any other area. And primarily because it's science. I mean, science basically studies science. That being said, as you mentioned earlier, there really isn't in non-adoptive states very much research at all. And so if you have a school in Missouri or Ohio or Pennsylvania or Massachusetts or New Jersey, none of the books that you use in your classrooms are going to be developed around a research base because they're purchased and bought and sold for Texas and California and Florida. And even in those states, as you mentioned earlier, textbook publishers don't spend time to determine whether or not students actually do better on these text programs on state assessments. The reason is it's impossible to do. Number one, students themselves are not lab rats. I mean, you can't just assign them X experimental groups and O for observational groups. It's the difficulty of it is a problem. The second, you have the confidentiality and security of state administrations. They don't allow you to have access to instruments, testing instruments. They do give you release exams, and the exact same fervor that they have put in release exams and developing curriculum, we have used at Sangari as well. We have taken our state's release exams, and we have taken our standards from our states, and we've developed curriculum content that's designed and predicted to deliver reasonable results at the end of the program. So with respect to the active learning component, our program is thoroughly researched. It is all in the data that kids learn best through doing. As a matter of fact, it's a foregone conclusion that that's the case. with respect to specifics of, will this program raise a student's test score to the extent that any program can? This program is more closely aligned to the Missouri or this Ohio or Pennsylvania or whatever standards than our other student programs, because we're literally writing it now. It's the most current, most up-to-date, most provocative science program in the market, and as a result, it should deliver the very best results for our kids.